We know the claim that the whole Bible was inspired by God. But we also know that there is a lot of evidence and a proof from ancient literature that predates the Bible. But it is only through faith that billions follow Christianity and the Bible. What is faith? According to the teachings that are given to those that follow the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran, faith is a feeling, a conviction, or a belief that something is true or real without having evidence. It is only when you decide to research into this that you discover that Bible stories are likely not inspired by God. The church fathers knowingly incorporated paganistic elements into the Christian faith to ease the transition from what they thought was pagan into the Roman created a religion now called Christianity. But traditional biblical scholars and many others, apologists today, try to defend the originality and the historical value of these Bible stories, so that at the end of the day they have achieved maximum success because billions without any research believe them. We present unquestionable proofs that Bible stories were not inspired by God. We have dealt with the issue of the creation stories found in Genesis. You can watch our video, Creation Stories Inspired by God, True or False. The biblical book of Ecclesiastes as well as Proverbs are all ascribed to the wisdom, so-called wisdom, of the Israelite King Solomon, whom we do not have any proof that he existed. He is said and reputed to have investigated the meaning of life by contemplating on men's motives and actions. He comes to many as the wisest and epitome of wisdom. But the wisdom literature, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Job, which were canonized, appear to be very unbiblical for the mere reasons that they were copied from the books of wisdom of Amenemope, as well as the instructions Ta Hutupo. The teachings of Ta Hutupo came 2450 BCE during the 5th dynasty of the Old Kingdom of Hamit. His teachings were preserved on both clay tablets as well as papyrus sheets and are presented. You can go to the Bibliotheca Nationale in Paris and you can read them and find them there. We will quote a few of the teachings from the wisdom literature of ancient Africans. Amenemope says, beware of robbing the poor and oppressing the afflicted, in chapter 2. In Proverbs 22:17, he says, rob not the poor, for he is poor, neither oppress or crush the lowly in the gate. Proverbs 22:22. That is exactly plagiarism and editing and copying. In Proverbs 19:21, it says, many are the plans in man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. In Proverbs 16:9, it also says, in his heart a man plans his course, but the Lord determines his steps. When you read this in the church or in the synagogue or in the mosque, you think, yes, this is inspiring. But little do you know that Amenemope 19:15 says, one thing are the words which men say, another is that which God does, or Nebuchadnezzar does. Songs of Solomon comes from the Canaanite love songs, which were written 1,000 years before the Songs of Solomon in the Bible was ever thought of. You can go and read the papyrus Harris 500, which was discovered at Thebes in the Ramesseum complex in Karnak, to find all of Songs of Solomon written therein. The story of Joseph and his temptation found in Genesis 39 was stolen from the story of Anobisa and Debata. The word Debata means grab, and seize comes from the story of the tale of the two brothers. While Genesis 39 effectively delivers its wisdom, it is not the original. This duplicitous game, seemingly inherent in the nature of scholars who discovered it inside some of the women, was exposed significantly earlier in the stories of the tale of the two brothers, not in the Bible. The Bible plagiarizes that. So it is not as inspired. The Hebrew Israelites and so-called black conscious Christians now that want to make everything black in the Bible are now telling us that there is a biblical Pharaoh who was known as Joseph. They're not telling you that it is the story that was stolen from ancient Hamite. You can go and read a lot of stuff from this website that we are showing here. What about Moses, the greatest prophet? Because of Sargon the Great and his story that has come up today, a lot of us now know that Judaism is based on another lie, the myth of Moses, which was based on the life and the legends of Sargon the Great, the king of Akkad. Sargon's birth and childhood is given in the Sargon legend, a Sumerian text. In particular, the image of Sargon as a baby cast away and set adrift river, picked up by a gardener, destroys the story of Moses picked up in the river Nile in a basket by Miriam and so forth. Much of the biblical books of Psalms were stolen from the writings of Pharaoh Akhenaton. The hymn to Aten is same as Psalms 104, word for word, verse for verse. Oh, soul God, besides whom there is none. That's a hymn to Aten. Oh Yahweh, my God, you are very great. It's a student copying the teacher. How many are your deeds? You made the earth as you wished. You alone, all people's heads and the flocks. Oh Yahweh, how manifold are your words. In wisdom you have made them all. The earth is full of your creatures. On and on and on. You can go to this, the meaning of the Bible, and read this story. It's and read the source. Very, very clear that there is no inspiration but copying. The stories of Baal and Anat, the goddess of fertility and war, found on the clay tablets in the Ugaritic language cuneiform 1400 BCE, gives away the whole stories about Baal and Ashtarte that you read in the Bible. And there are so many characters in the Bible that are named Baal. Many of the writings in the biblical book of Joshua comes from the Amarna letters discovered in El Amarna Hamit in 1887. The tablets for vassal kings of Syria and Palestine to the Pharaoh Amenhotep III and Akhenaton 1390 to 1338 BCE appeal for military help from the Habiru, who were invaders during the time of the Judges. These Habiru or Abiru are the Hebrew or Hebrews, who later moved up as Israelites. The books of Joshua also utilizes the information found in Merenapta stele. There are more stolen writings in the Bible that came from Hamit, the story of Akkad, the story of Wen Ammon, and the Gezer or Gezerah Almanac. So these are the proofs that the Bible stories were not inspired. The biblical books of Samuel and the Kings also contain many stolen material, stolen from the Mari prophecies, the Stele of Musha, the Karapete inscription, the Annals of Shalmaneser III, the Black Obelisk of Shalmaneser III, the Annals of Tiglath-Pileser, the Annals of Sargon II, the Siloam inscription, the Yavneyam inscription, the Lachish letters, the Arad Ostraka, the Annals of Sennacherib, and the Annals of Nebuchadnezzar. You see preachers doing a lot of emotional preaching, narrating these stories and the stories. You will say, yes, this man knows his Bible. No, these are ancient stories. He has crammed them and he reads them daily, but he does not know that they come from other sources. The biblical books of Ezra and Nehemiah, they are all sourced and they all came from Cyrus's cylinder, 559-530 BCE. Enacted by King Cyrus of Persia, the second temple was built and the high priest established in Jerusalem. The Cyrus cylinder, which is an Akkadian cuneiform script on ancient baked clay, was created about 539-530 BCE. It was discovered in March 1879 by Homzad Rassam during Rassam's excavation in Babylon, Mesopotamia. It is now found in the British Museum in London. It's not hearsay. It is not lost. It is there. What does this discovery have to do with the Bible? Many scholars have linked one passage from this cylinder to the Old Testament account. It confirms the Bible story about Ezra, where Ezra says in chapter 1, verse 1 to 6, 6, 5, 1 to 5. So when you read that now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, it is already Ezra repeating what was already on the cylinder, what predated him. The biblical prophecies that we all boast of and say, the prophecies in the Bible, the prophecies in the Torah, the prophecies here and there, are predated by the Mari letters, which tell us about many aspects of life in the ancient world and a lot about ancient prophecies. You go there and read another one, which is Manutu and Aptuleum, who seems to engage in prophetic activities. And then you go to the old Babylonian Omen texts, 2000 to 1600 BCE, the Mari prophecies, which we have already given, and the Akkadian oracles. So many. The book of Job comes from the story of Keret, found in Ugaritic epic poem dated to late Bronze 1500 to 1200 BCE. It recounts the myth of King Keret of Hubure, written in the Ugaritic language, a cuneiform script, this one, composed by Limuka the scribe, about Keret and the god El, not Job or Jehovah. Keret's family fell into tragedies and illnesses similar to Job. They have actually vice versa, and instead of 7 sons, Keret had 7 wives. So in the original tale, Satan never even entered into the picture. You can read some more sources: the sufferer and the soul, the farmer and the court, and then the sufferer and the friend. Now we come to the god El, from where we get Eloha, Allah, and Elohim. This is the god El, given a statuette of El from Megiddo or Mugiddo. In other words, the place of dance or the place of war or the place of noise. This is Bantu. Mugiddo is Bantu. So the other names for El is El Elyon, you find it in the Bible. El Shaddai, you find it in the Bible. El Olam, you find it in the Bible. Adon Elim, you find it in the Bible. Toru El, you find it in the Bible. Abu Mani Eli, you find it in other Arabic texts. But Niu Binwati, Abu Adami, Koi Niyunu Olam. Olam you find in the Bible, it means eternity or eternal. Hatikuluka, Hatikuka, Abu Shamima, El Gibbo. El Gibborab is the name. If you read in the book of Isaiah about the prophecy of Jesus in Isaiah 7:14, you find El Gibbo there. And the totem of this man was the bull, Onkomo, Omoyo, the Levites, Baroji. This is the God that they are worshipping. So the claim that the whole Bible was inspired by God is therefore refuted by these evidences that we are providing here. So therefore the claim that the whole Bible was inspired by God is thus refuted by the overwhelming evidence and proofs available everywhere. There is a lot of ancient literature that predates the Bible. Our question is, who inspired that literature? This literature is there. It's not theoretic. You can go and walk and see it. If you can study and be able to read Ugaritic, cuneiform, hieroglyphics, you can read it directly from the authors. In conclusion, a lot of people claim that the Bible is the word of God. Yes, but it's not the word of the real creator. Even the Bible itself, if you read it, because most people have never actually read the Bible, other than cherry picking few verses here and there, and following sermons and preachings and videos and tapes and messages. But once an individual decides to read the Bible honestly, they'll soon discover that the church fathers, the Israelite scribe, stole wholesale stories and characters and individuals and rituals and prose from mainly 2 sources: ancient Kemet, Africa; ancient Sumeria, Africa. The Bible is not inspired by the unseen creator, but it was inspired by some really smart divinity who hates humanity. These wily divinities inserted themselves in the Bible as so-called giants, as so-called biblical, Torah or Quranic heroes that today billions praise as devotees to these and they love them. That's why they put a law that thou shalt not have any other gods besides me. Because they were competing divinities. So in narratives and in prayers, in music and dance, you are worshipping these smaller divinities. This is a fact. And the church fathers knew about that. And the Bible reveals that. And the sources where the Bible came from reveals more and the deeper knowledge and the deeper narratives and the prayers and the hymns. Being programmed to ignore ancient melanin dominant narratives and become a devoted follower or a converted follower of these narratives that are not of ours turns you into a physical and a mental slave, producing energy for these evil spirits. If you have any questions, if you want to have more information, send us your email to join@marifado.com and avoid falling into the trap of these divinities. You can subscribe to our channel, our YouTube channel, Community Hebrew Ethics. You can also follow us on our website, shown here. Till we meet again, Yohamaneja Topi, Tumizulukunikeni Mjakanja Mskaban, say, go back to the original sources and read from there, and your spirit will connect to the eternal as well as to the power of the true divinities.